Today on Investigate TV Plus, from anticipation to agony.
I knew something was wrong.
An expectant mother received a heartbreaking diagnosis for her unborn daughter. Then,
when I asked what are my options, I was told I didn't have any options.
She had to carry her child knowing her little girl would not survive.
I had to plan a funeral while feeling my child move inside of me.
We take an in-depth look at how a woman's personal tragedy became embroiled in the abortion debate and hear from both sides of the issue.
Plus, weighing her options.
Borderline diabetic, borderline sleep apnea, high blood pressure, high cholesterol.
A young mother faced serious health issues, and despite diets and treatments, she couldn't lose the weight.
The certain injections they gave me actually made me pretty sick.
We examine why she turned to weight loss surgery, the challenges she faced after the procedure, and how she eventually gained a healthier life.
Then her friends say she's earned her nickname, but she doesn't necessarily agree.
Mother Teresa.
Yeah, no, not even close.
We introduce you to a woman inspired to serve her community.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
In June 2022, the United States Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, ending the constitutional right to an abortion and shifting a woman's access to the procedure in the months that followed. As an increasing number of states ban the procedure, researchers shed light on what they say are some concerning consequences. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm T. Chappelle. The findings published in October 2024 show infant mortality increased in the wake of the High Court's decision in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization.
Reporter Heather Graff explores both sides of the debate and the tragic story of one mother caught in the middle.
We were all team girl.
It was supposed to be a routine 20-week scan.
And as they put the jelly on my belly, we were just talking and chatting.
Samantha Cassiano was expecting her 5th child, but she wasn't expecting this.
The room goes cold. And I knew something was wrong.
In December 2022, Samantha's unborn daughter was diagnosed with anencephaly, a fatal birth defect that occurs when a fetus's brain and skull don't fully develop.
Every morning I woke up and I knew my daughter was going to die.
6 months earlier, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, which had established a constitutional right to abortion for nearly 50 years.
When I asked what are my options, I was told I didn't have any options.
After the ruling, numerous states introduced full or partial abortion bans. While they all have exceptions protecting the mother's life, including Texas, where Samantha lives, that wasn't a factor in her pregnancy.
And we found out that to be able to give our child compassion and mercy, we would have to go out of state, but that just wasn't there for us. It wasn't at our grasp financially. I had to plan a funeral while feeling my child move inside of me.
Baby Hayla was born 2 months early on March 29, 2023.
She fought for 4 hours, and her father held her till she died.
According to a recent study in JAMA Pediatrics, Halo's story isn't unique. Researchers at The Ohio State University looked at national infant mortality trends in the year and a half following the Supreme Court's ruling. Using historical data as a comparison, they identified 3 months that jumped about 7% higher than average.
It's a very conservative estimate.
Lead author Parvati Singh says during each of those months, about 250 more babies died than expected. And according to the Centers for Disease Control, infant mortality had been on the decline for nearly 3 decades.
Anytime infant mortality goes up, it is a matter of national concern.
Deaths were highest among babies with congenital abnormalities, which has been a leading cause of infant mortality in the United States for decades.
Unfortunately, I was not surprised.
Dr. Erin Wanyoni, a Chicago OBGYN who wasn't involved with the study, says some of the increase could be attributed to babies being born that may have otherwise been terminated, given their short life expectancy.
If you're forced to continue a pregnancy, especially in a situation where we know it's incompatible with life, then yes, we're going to see higher rates of infant mortality.
But she believes it points to widespread impacts that extend beyond the child, particularly since infant and maternal health are so closely linked.
I think about the health of the mother and, the stress of a pregnancy and all the things that can happen during a pregnancy, whether it's mental health, whether it's, diabetes, high blood pressure.
Should the greater public be concerned as well?
The greater public should definitely be concerned because whether you realize it yet or not, these abortion bans affect all of us.
Abortion is health care, says Dr. Wanyoni, but not everyone agrees.
Do you believe these babies should be carried to term when they're incompatible with life?
Yes, I do. It is better that these children do carry out and live a natural life and die a natural death than be subject to an abortion.
Michael New, an assistant professor at the Catholic University of America, says he believes all human life is precious, and prenatal diagnoses are not always accurate.
Pro-life laws are not causing an increase in congenital defects. What they're doing is they are preventing these children from being aborted.
In addition to the impacts from congenital abnormalities, Singh says she believes the increase in deaths could be linked to healthcare providers leaving states with restrictive abortion laws.
What that creates is reproductive care deserts.
Along with factors like access to health services and quality of life, the CDC says infant mortality is an important indicator of the overall health of a society.
If we are seeing this at the national level, then things could be much worse at the state level.
But according to New, that's a significant factor Singh's study fails to address. It doesn't provide evidence that infant mortality increased faster in states that enacted abortion laws.
It doesn't compare infant mortality in states that have strong pro-life laws to infant mortality rates in states with permissive abortion policies.
Singh acknowledges her work on its own has limitations, but the findings, she adds, have been supported by other academics in the field.
This pattern is consistent with observations from other studies where they did arrive at those conclusions.
And as the body of research surrounding abortion restrictions grows, she hopes informed policy making will grow with it. This still grieving mother says she's proof those decisions have real consequences.
There was no reason to force her to be here and go through such pain and agony.
On the most innocent among us and their families.
It was a traumatic memory that will never leave my mind, and I wish that for no mother or no baby to have to go through that.
OSU researcher Parvati Singh says her research was inspired by findings from an August 2024 study out of Johns Hopkins University. It showed a 13% increase in infant mortality in Texas following the adoption of a law there banning most abortions at around 6 weeks of pregnancy. The Texas Heartbeat Act took effect in 2021, a year before the more restrictive Dobbs decision. It provides no exceptions for fetal abnormalities.
And the fact that we saw deaths due to congenital anomalies increasing in both of those studies, I think is just another confirmation that that's probably one of the leading mechanisms as to why these abortion restrictions are leading to infant deaths.
Lead author Allison Gemmel released a follow-up study in February 2025 analyzing the Dobbs decision's potential impact on infant mortality in each state.
We definitely see a very pronounced increase in Texas and Kentucky.
Those states are among 12 today that have implemented total abortion bans, and most have some kind of restriction in place.
As for whether the increase in infant mortality will continue, Ohio State's expert says time and further research will shed light on whether it was an immediate response to the Supreme Court's ruling or the start of an ongoing trend.
When their daughter received a terminal diagnosis, a mother and father turned feelings of helplessness into hope.
Good has come from it, so other children don't have to suffer through it.
Still to come, how love for their daughter served as a catalyst for groundbreaking research.
But first, losing weight can be frustrating, especially when you've tried diet and exercise with little results. We take an in-depth look at bariatric surgery and how it helped one mom regain her health.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes.
The CDC says obesity affects nearly half of U.S. adults, and for many, it's not just a cosmetic concern.
Obesity is a medical problem that increases the risk of other health problems, including heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, liver disease, sleep apnea, and certain cancers. Some people can lose the weight with diet and exercise, but for others, it may take medical intervention.
North Carolina mom Kiana Price turned to injectable weight loss medications when nothing else worked.
And I remember seeing a picture of myself that someone else had took, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I had gotten that big.
Kiana is pre-diabetic with a family history of diabetes. Over the years, she tried managing her weight with diet and exercise, but nothing was working. Not until 2023, when she started taking an injectable drug called Wegovy. Kiana lost almost 60 pounds in a year.
This was the most consistent weight loss I had ever seen for the longest period of time.
Wegovy is part of a class of medications called GLP-1 agonists that work by reducing blood sugar levels. Clinical trials have shown patients can lose more than 10% of their body weight. But injectable weight loss drugs like Wegovy and Ozempic are not for everyone.
Reporter Natisha Lance takes an in-depth look at another option, bariatric surgery, and how it's changed one woman's life.
There was a time when Tara Macklin could not go for a walk without being in pain.
My weight, it was really affecting my life physically and mentally.
Since having her second daughter 8 years ago, Tara struggled to get the weight off.
And it was kind of like a yo-yo diet. You know, I would lose a little bit and I'd gain it back and I'd lose it.
And she was starting to feel it.
I knew that I struggled, like with the kids at the house, carrying the laundry, just a flight of steps. I was pretty winded and I just couldn't keep up.
After her annual physical, she knew why.
And I showed up as borderline diabetic, like pre-diabetic, and borderline sleep apnea, high blood pressure, high cholesterol.
And she hit her heaviest weight, 245 pounds on her 5'2" frame.
And I was about a size 22.
She knew she had to get serious about her health. She tried turning to a weight loss drug.
And those didn't work for me. The certain injections they gave me actually made me pretty sick.
So she decided to explore bariatric surgery.
Bariatric surgery is a form of medicine where we use different elements of the like the intestines or the abdominal cavity in order to aid patients in weight loss.
The National Institutes of Health recommends bariatric surgery to anyone whose BMI is greater than 40. Tara's was 42.6.
Tara had tried for many years to lose weight on her own.
Dr. Thomas Gavigan is Tara's bariatric surgeon.
Ideally, we look for patients that have tried and failed in other weight loss methods.
After preparing herself for a year, walking and changing her diet, Tara received a sleeve gastrectomy in March 2024.
So I did have some challenges as far as after surgery, and I needed 2 transfusions while I was there.
A month later, she started to find her new normal. And now 10 months later,
I keep track of my measurements. I lost over like 12 inches on my waist.
And what about all those health issues she had?
Oh, I don't have any of those issues anymore.
How you doing with keeping up with the girls?
Great. I can run after them, which is nice.
Tara will tell anyone the surgery is not a quick fix. It's an overall health commitment. Despite it all, she says it's worth it.
Like I finally got me back, and I don't know where that person was for so long, but it feels good.
If you're concerned about weight or weight-related health problems, ask your healthcare professional about weight loss options.
Still ahead, from volunteering at church to helping kids with cancer, we introduce you to a woman who embodies the spirit of service.
But first, fight for the future.
You're told your child is basically going to fade away and die in a decade.
How a mother and father turned their fears into action and helped spearhead a groundbreaking study that could one day treat a devastating genetic condition.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime, streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download. Parents take joy in watching their child's first milestones, such as taking their first steps, smiling, or waving bye. But for some parents, those milestones are fleeting. A rare genetic disease not only robs their child of those precious skills, it erases their memory and eventually leads to death.
Sanfilippo syndrome, also known as childhood Alzheimer's, affects 1 in 70,000 births in the U.S. Unfortunately, there are no treatment options for patients, only management.
But researchers at Clemson University in South Carolina are working to change that prognosis. Reporter Carrie Beal gives us insight into how research on a fruit fly provides hope for a treatment.
Eliza is an absolutely precious young lady now. She's 15. We have also seen her hold on to some skills that were surprising to us.
Eliza was born with Sanfilippo syndrome and diagnosed at the age of 3.
It was a shock to us. We knew she was having some developmental differences.
At birth, children with this syndrome appear healthy, but slowly they lose their ability to speak, walk, eat, and sleep. Experts say it's often called childhood Alzheimer's because the symptoms are similar and it mostly impacts the brain.
It was difficult. When we got the diagnosis, when you're told your child is basically going to fade away and die in a decade, basically, it throws everything upside down your entire life.
The O'Neills decided to do everything in their power to change their daughter's prognosis. It's why they started this nonprofit called the Cure Sanfilippo Foundation.
We started 11 years ago with just our family, and now 11 years later we have 150 partner families that work with us around the country and around the world.
That support allowed them to raise enough money to start funding studies, including one at Clemson University.
He's going to put each fly into a tiny little tube.
Researchers are using fruit flies to test different treatment options.
This is probably something very surprising to most people. 70% of human disease genes have fruit fly counterparts.
Trudy McKay says children with Sanfilippo syndrome have too much buildup of heparin sulfate in the lysosome of a cell. The top is what a healthy cell looks like. This buildup causes damage to the brain.
So we know the cause, but what we don't understand is why.
McKay says the cause is a lack of an enzyme, which is needed for healthy cells. Researchers have identified 4 drugs that are already on the market and are testing to see if they work against Sanfilippo syndrome. The O'Neills don't know if this research will save their daughter, but they know it will help others.
I think for us, it feels like Eliza's life and all that she's gone through, the suffering. Not to say that it meant something, but that good has come from it, so other children don't have to suffer through it.
If these drugs prove to be promising in fruit flies, the next step is to test them in clinical trials in humans. The O'Neills say they hope that will happen within the next few years.
Up next, Inspire to Serve.
If somebody needs something, she's right there for them.
A Vermont woman provides comfort food and words of comfort for her community. Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to Investigate TV Plus on all social media platforms.
From preparing meals for community members in need to curating collections at a local library, a Vermont woman made it her mission to fill stomachs, hearts, and minds.
Reporter Joe Carroll shows us how she's found solace in serving others.
It's lunchtime in Bethel.
Bethelville sandwich up.
Kathy Day and owner David Sambor are in sync.
Okay, you got it.
Comfort food.
Just made them this morning.
On a rainy day.
The Vermont cheesesteak's really good.
The two have worked together for years, even through the pandemic.
It was Dave and I during COVID.
No indoor dining, just phone orders. The two would bring the meals to the awaiting customers.
And I'd say, what kind of car are you driving? That's when I found out how many Subarus and how many black pickups are in. Because you'd walk out and you go, 5 black pickups, okay, who ordered?
In town, though, everyone seems to know Kathy.
I jokingly call her Mama T, Mother Teresa. You know, she you know, and because she can't say no.
Mother Teresa.
Yeah, no, not even close. Not even close.
Tell that to the parishioners at St. Anthony's Catholic Church in town, where she started a soup kitchen, a monthly meal for those in need.
I'll carry this in the... My husband and I have a way of pulling people in.
With the lunch crowd gone, it's time for Kathy's other job.
All right, I'm changing hats.
She's been the town librarian for 30 years.
I'll see you in a bit.
Oh, that one would be good for a boy.
Today, a group of friends have come together for children with osteosarcoma, or bone cancer.
It's a pretty serious cancer, so these children are in the hospital oftentimes for up to a year.
It's a monthly meetup.
This one's perfect for this girl.
The cards bring a little joy to their young lives.
Oh, pretty.
She is incredibly good at roping people in.
When Kathy's kids grew up and moved away, she had to find something to keep her busy, and her card-signing friend tells it best.
I think Kathy always liked her doing things for people and her family, and now the town has become her extended family. That's what I think.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
If somebody needs something, she's right there for them.
Very nice to meet you. I make people happy. I enjoy life.
You know, every community needs at least one, but many people like her.
What's it, Mama T?
Mama T, yes.
She says, I make people happy and I enjoy life, and that's the key.
That is the case. She deserves that name, too.
Well, that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm T. Chappelle.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Thanks for watching.
On the next Investigate TV Plus, a terrified driver is behind the wheel of an out-of-control speeding car.
It's kind of terrifying to think how things like that can just happen.
We have an in-depth look at why some vehicles suddenly experience uncontrolled acceleration and what you need to do if it happens to you.